Hello everybody and welcome to another video where I will try to find the best algorithmic trading strategy. Not so long ago I tested the BinHV45 code from the FracTrade Strategies GitHub repository, and in the end it proved to be not such much of a good strategy, even after optimizing. But then the combined BinH and clock strategy was tested. That was a combination of the Bin45 and ClockMate strategy, and that performed quite well. And in the repository of the FracTrade bot there is even another strategy that is also called BinHV, but this time it's BinHV27. Let's investigate that code to see if it is BinHV45's little brother or its big brother. And maybe we are yet in for another surprise. And as always, all kudos go to the authors or collectors that provides us with this code. To start from the beginning, the usual modules and libraries are set up so that they can be used further down the code. Then the typical parameters for ROI, stop loss and the preferred time frame for the strategies are set in the next section. The ROI will take a profit at 10% gains, but the stop loss is set to a huge 50% loss. The time frame is set to the 5 minutes here. And let's hope that the stop loss does not get hit that many times here. Then a huge block of code appears, just for the indicators method. And I see an overwhelming amount of indicators here, like the RSI, ADX, moving averages, trend signalers, deltas and what's more. It is a nice set of indicators to add to your own library for whenever you think you want to use one. But using them all at the same time is a little bit overkill, I think. Of course I can be wrong and this will be the greatest algorithm that ever existed, but let's find out later. Then the buy signal method appears, and it is also quite a large piece of code. Apparently the author of the code has determined that there are multiple circumstances a signal could be generated, and that for each individual circumstance a buy signal can be created. To begin with the beginning, in any case the starting block of conditions has to be fulfilled. It roughly states that if the slow SMA is greater than 0 and if the close price is lower than the high SMA and low SMA, and also if the ADX minus DI is greater than its EMA, and also if the RSI is greater or equal than the previous RSI value, then if any of these blocks below are valid, because of the if statement, the bot will do its job and buys into a position. There is a similar way that creates sell signals here, with the exception of a generic baseline signal that has to be met first. The author just has defined multiple conditions that can appear and that can cause a trade to exit. So if one of these blocks of conditions are met, then the position gets closed. And at the moment it is a little bit unclear to me if all these different buy and sell conditions really add value to this strategy. It is known that algorithmic strategies can get very complex, and I have seen some that makes this code look bleak. But anyway, let me test this initially to see if it is profitable and how many profits it could potentially bring us. The initial backtest results for this strategy are quite different when you compare these timeframes. The best scoring timeframe according to my pairs and setup is the 5-minute timeframe. But if you take a more close look at the individual scores, you see that it also scores poorly on some of these factors, like for example the drawdown on the 5-minute. The second best scoring timeframe is the 1-day timeframe, and there the drawdown is better, but now the amount of pairs that react on this strategy goes down. And if you move further down the scoring table, at some point there is even no hypothetical profit, so no use for this algo. I can take a closer look at the enter and exit reasons to get a small clue of what's going on with these signals. And as you see, the multitude of exit signals indeed score the highest in comparison to the other exit types the bot has. The most remarkable thing here is that this algo strategy only has 2 exit signals based on its stop loss. And I don't think I have ever seen that before in any other test. So the exit signals configured here are pretty tight in comparison to the configured -50% stop loss settings. Nonetheless, there were still 2 trades that suffered a 50% stop loss here though. Now, because there are so many intentional exit signals configured in this algo strategy, I find it difficult to still optimize the ROI and stop loss. I think that the author clearly had in mind to not use these types of exit signals. Also, optimizing all of those configured parameters looks like an impossible task. There can be so many variations that finding the best one is certainly a matter of overfitting to past performance. So I could leave it like this and show you the strategy leak as it is now, but I am still curious to see if adjusting the ROI and stop loss settings would give even better exit signals than the intended signals the author configured. I'm starting to wonder if optimizing 5-minute strategies is the way to go at the moment. It could be that the author of the code just did a wonderful job right away, or that I just don't use the right parameters to optimize this strategy correctly. And maybe there is some other mistake I made. Or it could be that these many programmed buy and sell conditions are just in the way of fully making use of also the ROI and stop loss settings. It is not by accident that the author did not fully make use of them in the first place. And this is just a confirmation that the author did a great thing by coding the algo the way it is at the moment. Because initially one might think that having an optimized ROI will automatically improve a fractured algo strategy. And this is also the case with the adjusted stop loss settings, which you will find on my Patreon page by the way. Because what if these additional ROI and exit signals get in the way of the actual profitable exit signals configured in the original strategy? And these original exits are now mostly exiting at the wrong moment because of this. In other words, trades will exit underwater at the moment because they still get exit signals from the original configured strategies code. And I think in these cases it is just better to leave the strategy as it is. Maybe try to optimize the configured indicator settings a little bit manually and test if it improves or not. But just not more than that. 5-minute charts together with the time range of my backtests for this time frame are just too much to handle, as I have said before in earlier videos. The files are over 1 GB and my browser cannot open these at the moment. So I will leave these files in my Patreon addendum post for those that could afford a computer with enough resources and can handle these files. So sorry about that, but I just cannot open these. So let's just quickly move on to the strategy leak to see where this strategy ends up. And here, with the original strategy settings, this algo finishes higher than its earlier tested and almost similar named BinHV45 algo. And I say similar named, but it's quite a different algorithm. The 61% win rate is admirable, but something has to be done with that large drawdown. If this would improve, this code would end up a bit higher in the league in comparison with its similar scoring neighbors. The most interesting part of this algorithm is the use of multiple entry signals and exit signal triggers. And it could be a great source of inspiration for those who have similar thoughts of using this technique. So you are always welcome to be inspired by this code. And for those who want to build further on this actual strategy, if you can find out how this strategy could be improved and by how much, I invite you to share this with the community and also the original author and the Fractrate developers. For me, this is enough because I have yet another algorithmic strategy that I'm curious about how it performs. So I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!